today.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
I already know what time
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
The NBA is trying to kill me. They want me to have a heart attack. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what I did to upset them. Well, I probably know what I did to upset them, but I can't, I won't,
I want to say say what's up to the people, but my man Tone right now.
Go. You go say what's up to the people. Will I gather my thoughts, because I just want to scream.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world? You know what it is. It's Tuesday night. It is the Fluent and Chill show. That's my man Fluent, aka Tony Tone, and I'm Chill. And we are in the house. My man over here, as you know, we do this every week. We get down, but for this reason, this week right here, my man blood pressure is up a little bit, and I don't know why. I mean, we were in the production meeting.
You damn well know why.
It was earlier today. We were in the production meeting today, and we were going over some things, and I didn't get the sense that there was some nonsense going on. I did see some things that might have turned my man up a little bit, maybe possibly turned my man up a little bit. However, I didn't think that it was much to. I thought it was much to do about nothing. So we get on here tonight, and right before the show, when you see a family member, and that family member, even if their teeth is gritting, the teeth might not be gritting, but you see their face, and you're like, "Uh-oh, something's going on." So I might want to stay away from them. And when I got on with Tone tonight, it just seemed like there was some tension in the air. He didn't seem like his jolly self, where we get down. Hey, what's up, Jay? What's going on? Nah, it was more like, what up, Jay? I'm like, uh-oh. So the first thing I'm thinking is did my nephew do something wrong? Is he in some sort of trouble? Nah, because I just see my nephew in the background. He was kicking it with Tone. Did my niece do something? Is she in some trouble? No, she ain't in no trouble neither. Wifey, there's nothing going on with Wifey. There's nothing going on at the gig. So I'm trying to figure out, what's the problem? What's going on here with my man Tony Tone that got his blood pressure up? Tone, I'm all ears, brother. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Why am I not surprised about this? Why
are we retiring everyone's number? Why? What is the need? What is the obsession with retiring every damn player that ever has played in the NBA's number? Is Andre Iguodala a Hall of Famer?
Well, Tone, he might not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but there are rumblings.
Oh my goodness.
There are rumblings that Andre Iguodala might be a Hall of Famer. He was an All-American at the University of Arizona. He comes to the NBA. I think he made the All-Star team. He made the All-Pro team. He's an Olympic gold medal.
The All-Star team.
Yeah.
The team that the fan votes in, that we can't even watch the game anymore because the players that right.
And remember Tone, remember what the All-Star game is about. It's about the fans. And since we're on the subject of fans, the Hall of Fame, what are you famous for? Why are you famous? What
they need to
that's
change,
why
they need to
that's
change
why
the
you're
name of it then. It's not no. It's not what you're famous for. If it was for fame, then Jeremy Lin would be in, because for 15 minutes he was the most famous basketball player in the world.
Here's the difference.
Bronny James,
15 minutes. That's it.
Bronny James has sold $50 million in jersey sales. Apparently, no one can. By the way, just on a side note, no one has been able to give me one credible source other than an article written by Nick Wright. That says that's how many.
Right there,
No, I said credible source.
Mm-hmm.
Not someone who wears LeBron's jockstrap over his head to bed at night. No, a credible source is someone who actually gives you facts. When it comes to that particular family, he does not. So other than his one article, I have not seen one thing. I've searched the NBA's, the NBA store. I've reached out to the VPs of marketing, the VPs of partnerships. I have all of these people on. Don't laugh. Shows that I'm old. I have all these. I'm connected with all these people on LinkedIn. I've reached out to all of them, and and they've said, "Oh, we don't actually have those numbers to publish yet." So how does Nick Wright have it?
How does if none of them have these numbers to publish, how does anybody have it, Tom? Like, where did
exactly? Nobody does. Exactly. They've given us kind of top 10 sales from last calendar year, first, like they don't have. How does he know it's 50 million? I haven't heard one credit. Now, I'm not saying it's not true. Right. No problem. It's true. I'm not saying it's not. However, if it's true, then he should be in the Hall of Fame because he's famous.
Yes. Well, that's just part of it, Tone. What are you famous for, though? And you being famous for 15 minutes, that's not worthy.
Well, no, Jeremy Lin was famous for basketball.
And for 15 minutes, that's it. He wasn't famous long.
Nobody knows Andre Iguodala outside of the NBA.
Outside of the NBA, that's not true. That's not true at all, Tone.
Outside of people who watch the NBA, no one knows who Andre Iguodala is.
And
he could walk down the street and they would walk right by him like he's nobody.
That's not true, Tone. And there's plenty of people who know who Andre.
Name me one outside of an NBA fan.
Okay, sure. Well, outside of the NBA, outside of an
That's
NBA
what I'm
fan,
saying.
That doesn't mean he's got to be a household name, because there's plenty of guys in the Hall of Fame who aren't household names. No,
then they're not famous.
Yes, they are. They're famous amongst the basketball community because that's what it is. It's the Basketball Hall of Fame. This is not the People Hall of Fame, Tone. This isn't what this is.
So then everybody should be in.
Well, here's the difference. You and me have had this discussion about the Hall of Fame more than once, more than twice. Only less than 5% of the guys get in. Less than 5% get in. So 95% of the guys who've played in the NBA do not get in. So not everybody's getting in, Tone. So that's just not true. No. However, I want to discuss what's at hand right now. So let's talk about my man Iggy, okay? So Iggy, how long has Iggy been with the Golden State Warriors? How many years did Iggy play for the Golden State Warriors? I think he showed up in the 14-15 season. He was on that Denver team previous to that. He shows up on that team in the 14-15 season, and he's there to the 18-19 season in 2018-19. He comes back, and then they win the NBA championship again. He's long in the tooth at that point. And he's really not. He hasn't really done much. Yeah, he's long in the tooth.
Can you remind me? You're a basketball historian. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off because I want to ask you a question. Because everyone in the chat is saying the same thing that I'm thinking. We're only having this conversation because he won a Finals MVP. Who did he do such a? Because it wasn't because of his offense. Who was it that he locked up in the NBA Finals? Can you remind me?
Well, the word was that he shut the door on James, which
really, and how much? And didn't James average 36 a night?
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here with that nonsense. That's nonsense.
He averaged almost 40 a game in the NBA Finals. However, because James shot a lower field goal percentage when Andre Iguodala was covering him, and
he could have just shot a lower percentage because he shot a lower percentage. People have bad shooting games, weeks, series. It happens.
But Tone, here's the difference.
In the 1996 NBA Final, the 72-10 Bulls faced the Seattle Supersonics. Michael Jordan shot 45%, 44% from the field.
Mm-hmm. I think the last 3 games he shot
usually shoots.
Yeah. So the last 3 games he shot something like 40%, 40-something%, low 40s.
It happens. FYI, of all the non-centers, it was still the highest field goal percentage of all the players on his team, and better than all but one perimeter player on the other team. But I digress. But it was lower than what he usually shoots. So
sure.
So what we should give Gary Payton an award?
Now wait a minute, Tone. Remember who we talking about here. Now when I think about retiring a jersey, right? When I think about retiring a jersey, I think about the allure of that franchise. What does it mean to retire a jersey with the 76ers? Okay, how does this guy stack up with Barkley and Iverson and Doc? That's what I'm thinking about. When I think about Andre Iguodala, and we hanging up the number 9 with the Golden State Warriors, just so we know, Tone. Okay, Curry's jersey is going to hang up there.
Yeah.
Chamberlain's jersey hangs up there.
Right.
Chris Mullin's jersey hangs up there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm saying, Otone. These are the guys. Al Echols' jersey hangs up there. Rick Barry's jersey hangs up there. So these are the guys that you're going to be in conversations with. Is Andre Iguodala in the same conversation with Chris Mullin?
You know, have you ever seen that movie with Ice Cube, where he is trying to date Nia Long, and he has a bobblehead, and he has a bobblehead. Are we there yet, or something like that? I think it's called.
That's the name of the show, With the Kids. Yes,
and he's got I feel like it's Satchel Paige. I feel like it. Is that who the bobblehead is on his car?
I don't remember. I didn't, to be honest with you, I didn't see that whole movie. So
okay, I want to say it's Satchel Paige, but it could be another baseball player. Either way, he's got a bobblehead on his car, and every time he says something, the bobblehead kind of looks at him funny. That's what I imagine those jerseys looking at Andre Iguodala. Like what are you doing up here? Are you lost? Are you lost? And listen, I know I always get, you don't know. You don't have to deal with it. I always get the nasty emails and people reaching out to me after the show. And you're why are you hating on, in this case, Andre? I'm not hating on Andre Iguodala. I'm just saying he's not in their league.
Now remember what we're doing here, Tone. Okay, he played there 5 years. I think he played there 7 years, because he from 14, 15, 15, 16, 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. Then he came back in the 21-22 season. In the 21-22 season, in 22-23, that's when he retired. So he was there 7 years. And in that championship run, he really wasn't much help. At that point, he was washed. If we're being honest about Andre Iguodala, he was over at that point. He was more of a who am I thinking about? He was more of Udonis Haslem than he was Andre Iguodala at that point. With that being said, the 5 years that he played there, and I know how you feel about retiring jerseys, Tone. I do know this for a fact. The 5 years that he played there, he was where does he rank amongst the greats in terms of all-time greats with the Golden State Warriors? So they're going to retire Steph Curry's jersey. Steph Curry's the best player to ever play there. They're going to retire Klay Thompson's jersey. He's the best shooter. He's the second best shooter that they've ever had. They're going to retire Draymond's jersey, and you can make the argument Draymond's the best defensive player, with the exception of Chamberlain, that they've ever had. So they're going to retire. They've already retired Chris Mullin's jersey. Chris Mullin is in that category in terms of shooters with Curry and with Klay Thompson, and they've retired Al Echols' jersey. He was the head coach the year that they won the NBA championship in '75. With that, where does Andre Iguodala fall amongst the all-time greats in games, in points, in rebounds, in assists? Because he played, like I said, he played there 5 years.
For Golden State. No, he played in Golden State for 8 years.
Them last 2 years, I'm good.
Well, he only played 39 games in those last 2 years. So
yeah, I'm good.
I'll give him. Listen, I'll give it to him. But hold on. So let me just give you, as far as a Golden State player, so he played officially 8 years, although there were the two seasons where he played, like I said, 39 combined games, 31 and 8, his last 2 seasons in the NBA.
Yeah.
In those, and I know it's not all about numbers. However, let's just put some perspective on this. And take the name away for a second. If his name was Bob Smith, okay, he played 452 games with Golden State.
Yep.
That's not a lot. 84 as a starter. So maybe 20%.
That's 1 out of every 5 games he's starting.
He was a 20. So not only are we retiring the number of a player, but a bench player at that.
I mean, they did that with Ginobili. Wait a minute,
80%. 80. I'm not done.
But keep going.
80% of the time, he was a bench player who played
25 times.
Who played 26 minutes a game. And I said, I'm saying it's not all about numbers. 6.9 points per game.
7. Okay, let's give him 7.
Fine, 7 points per game. You want to give him 4 rebounds because it's 3.8. Okay, 7 points.
Let's give him 4.
Fine.
Let's give him
4 rebounds. 3.4. I'm giving him 3 assists. So 7, 4, and 3
in 26 minutes
with a steal and half a block and a turnover. That is jersey number 48% from the field, 33% from three, 63% from the free throw line. This is what we're retiring numbers for now? Man who didn't put up numbers?
The difference though, Tone, is what did he contribute to the Warriors' greatness? Because again, before Andre Iguodala gets this is the same team that hadn't won a playoff.
You can't find another guy to do that? You're telling me he's the one and only person in the NBA that could have done it?
He is.
Because I bet you I could find you 100. No, he's the only one who did it on that team. It doesn't mean he couldn't be replaced. That's the point, though, Tone. No, I feel that if your number is going to be retired, if you're going to be in the Hall of Fame, you're so great that there's maybe a handful of people that could have replaced you and had the same success. Not 500 people. Okay,
how many guys?
Maybe it's 100.
Let's say 50. Let's say 50 guys. That's still a lot. If you got 50 guys that can do what you do,
there's 50 guys who could play 25 minutes a game and give me those numbers and probably play better defense.
Because what the conversation was Andre Iguodala saw that guys were going into the Hall of Fame, and he's on record saying, "I'm better than this guy. I'm better than that guy." So if you're comparing him, I'm comparing him to guys like, is he better than Sean Marion? That's who I'm thinking about, guys like that. Like, is he better than Sean Marion?
I would say Sean Marion could have gone in and played the exact same role that Iggy did.
Was he better than guys like Paul Pressey for the Milwaukee Bucks? Great six man that the Milwaukee Bucks had. Great rotation player. Nah, I'm not. To be honest with you, Tone, I'm not sure. I can't say with 100% certainty that I'm sure that he was better than Paul Pressey as a rotation player, because he was damn good. I'm not going to argue that Andre Iguodala wasn't damn good, but what I'm asking is with the amount of guys that we're talking about. So we're talking about 50 guys. The issue that I'm having, Tone, is he has contributed way more than a lot of other guys to their championships.
I agree. I agree with you. He absolutely. But does everyone who contributed, then you need to literally retire all their numbers, because there's 5 or 6 guys, 7 guys. Yep. Sean Livingston, they couldn't have won those chips without Sean Livingston. We're gonna retire his number?
No, I don't think so.
How many teams did Robert Horry win his 7 rings? We're gonna have to retire his number in 2-3 different places.
I'm actually surprised that his jersey isn't retired, Tone, to be honest with you. And that's next, and I know that's gonna make you nuts,
right? Like when we look at like, oh, they contribute to championship. Andrew Wiggins, they don't win that last championship without Andrew Wiggins. So now we got to retire his number too.
He wasn't there He wasn't there as long as Andre.
But he contributed to a champ. Without him, they don't win that one. He breathed life back into their. Here's a Warriors fan. I know you can't hear Uncle Chill right now, but you're a Warriors fan.
Yeah.
Okay, you love the fact that Andre Iguodala, right? What he did for your Warriors, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should they retire his number?
No.
Why not?
He didn't do enough.
He didn't do enough. Thank you, sir.
He got a Finals MVP.
He does have It means nothing.
Yes, sir.
He shouldn't have even won that one. He stole it from Steph, right?
Guess not.
I love this kid. He gave me it means nothing.
And it worked too, by the way. And it worked.
All right, let's move on. A couple of weeks ago, I did some homework. You didn't know I was doing homework. So Iguodala,
I did not know this.
I did some homework. So not Andre, sorry, we're done with Andre. So a couple of weeks ago, you and I had a conversation. I don't know if you remember, and we were talking about players getting drafted. And we said, well, if the player, goes to university 1 year and then does not declare for the NBA draft, and you were under the impression that they can just stay out of it and then become a free agent. And I said, well, how come no one's ever done that before? And we talked about it. And I said, oh, is there a loophole? So I, of course, went out, and it is not. So I went out and reached out to our friend, Stacey Leewood, NBA agent, who's a friend of the show, been on the show. And I said, hey, and I asked all these questions and I got the answer. So if a player does not declare for the draft after their first season, let's say of university, they basically will have to wait until after year 4.
So my draft class.
So their draft class, yes. So they're after their senior year, at which time, whether they play 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, doesn't matter. Once their they'll have to wait until their NCAA eligibility expires. Once it has expired, if they have not ever declared for the draft, they are automatically entered into the draft. And so they would have to then go through the draft process. And then if no one drafts them, then they become a free agent. So if someone were to say, I'm leaving school, but I'm going to pick my team, I'm not declaring for the draft, they will eventually be automatically put into the draft. So there's no way of bypassing the draft system other than going through the draft and not getting drafted.
Which makes sense because...
Which is why we've never seen it.
Which makes sense because if you look at what has happened in the past, like I remember Magic threatening to go back to school. I remember Bird threatening to go back to school. I remember Bo Jackson saying that I just won't play. I'll play baseball. And I think he had another year of eligibility left too. He wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, that's not true, Tony. That he was there 4 years. So the loophole is not the loophole. I'm sorry. So the idea is, if I play 1 year and I'm first team All-American and I'm projected as a top 5 pick, and I don't like any of the 5 picks, I don't get to say I'm not putting my name in the draft, and then the draft is gone, but I got to go back to school though. Either I go back to school or
no, you could go. You go bag groceries. You can't. You're just not an NBA free agent.
I can't go to Europe. I can't do that.
You can. Yeah, you can go to Europe.
I can't go to. What I'm saying is, I can't go to Europe for 1 year and then come back.
You can do that. You can, and then you enter the draft.
So I got to enter the draft again. I can't come in as a free agent. Wow.
You could go to Europe. You can go to Europe for 3 years, and once you're drafted, or let's say you sign with an agent. Now it's different with NIL, but back when that was a violation and that made you a pro, you would then be once you're NCAA ineligible. Once that eligibility expires, you're automatically put into the draft. So there's no loopholes so you can pick your own team and become a free agent.
That? I thought that there was I was brainstorming and I thought to myself, yo, if I don't like this team, I'm not putting my name in the draft. I didn't know that they volunteer you.
Yes.
That's essentially what's going on. I don't volunteer myself.
I guess the easiest way to say it is to become an NBA free agent, which allows you to sign anywhere you want to go. You must have gone through the draft process. So that's it's very.
Yes.
I was very surprised because when we were talking about it 2 weeks ago, I was like, okay, maybe there is this loophole, right? And she's like, nah, that is not how it works. I'm like, all right, I appreciate it. That's not the only thing that's got me going crazy, as you can imagine.
So I was trying to keep Tone blood pressure down. Here we go. Okay. I was trying to keep his blood pressure down.
There's so much crazy in the NBA. I don't even know where to start, but let's go here. Because I think everyone agrees.
When you say you're the greatest of all time in the GOAT debate, that's still saying that you're ahead of Michael. So your position is still in the game of NBA. You're the greatest of all time all around.
I'm speaking from a team standpoint.
Would you put yourself ahead of LeBron?
As a team standpoint.
Would you put yourself ahead of LeBron as a team standpoint?
My success as a team is more successful than LeBron.
My success as a team is more successful than LeBron.
Which is a fact.
Is it?
Yeah. Because he's basing it on championships. That's why he's not basing it on what he did individually.
Robert Horry's success with the team is better than his.
If we're basing it, yes.
Jones, Tom, Bill, all of these guys.
Seth Sanders, Sam Jones. Yeah, it's all better than James because
Jones.
Scottie is basing this solely on winning championships. He's not basing it on what he did individually plus winning championships. No, he's basing it solely on the fact that I won. If you notice, and I'm sure you heard this, Tone, in that clip where he said, I didn't have to go anywhere else. Well, of course you didn't have to go anywhere else, Scottie, because Jerry Krause did such a great job in building that unit around you. But that's not what I want to talk about, Tone. We got to talk about where Scottie is mentally.
He did go other places, though. Let's be very clear.
Oh, 100% he did.
Had zero success. Okay.
He 100% he did. Let's please not leave that out. However, I want to talk about where Scottie is mentally. Tone, whenever I see him and whenever I hear him talk about his time with Jordan, Tone, I hear a lot of resentment. I hear a lot of this guy held me. I should have been a lot better than what I was. I should have gotten a lot more credit for what I did than I did, but I didn't because of him.
But that is so odd to me.
Me too.
Because we lived through that. For us that lived through it, was he okay? Look, he was the number 2. Let's right. I don't.
That's not a question, Tone. Let's put that on the table right now.
He was the number 2 on a team where there really wasn't. Okay, I guess the first 3 you could say Horace Grant was the number 3, but then there's a drop off. Like there's a significant drop off after those 3 guys. Even when
BJ Armstrong was not. BJ Armstrong was not.
Yeah, there was
and I think BJ Armstrong was a good player. John Paxson was not in that.
I held on to my BJ Armstrong rookie card. I was so excited it became worthless. But I was hoping and wishing and praying. But he was the clear cut like number 2 for that team from 89, not his first 2 seasons. Like the first season, he was coming off the bench. He averaged 7 points a game. Second season, okay. By the third season, by 1989, I think that was his first All-Star year. He was a legit, it was a bona fide 89, 90, right? Mm-hmm. He was a bona fide starter, and he was the number 2. It was Jordan, him, and then there's even a gap with Grant, and then later on it was Jordan, him, Rodman, and then again gap between the next guys.
Sure.
Every time I heard Jordan speak, Krause speak, Reinsdorf speak, Horace Grant speak, BJ Armstrong, John Pat, everyone praised Scottie Pippen every opportunity they had. Talking about him facilitating the Phil Jackson, talking about his versatility, him facilitating the offense, him doing all the, being able to do whatever was needed. If they needed him, if Jordan was having an off night and they needed him to score, he could score. If they needed him to rebound, he'd go on. That's what a small forward by definition was. The Swiss, we always talk about it, was the Swiss
Army knife. Sure.
Swiss Army knife.
I'm with you.
So he could do a little bit of everything. He was always praised. Now, he signed a 10-year deal that started off well. Like people forget he was top 10, top 15, top 20 paid for the first few years of that deal.
Mm-hmm.
But as the deal went longer and longer, he was underpaid. FYI, go look at Jordan until the last 2 seasons. Jordan was significantly underpaid. There were times when he wasn't even top 10 paid in the 90s. Or top 5 paid in the 90s. And there were guys like you don't even want to know some of the names who were making more money than him. So that was just Chicago. Chicago's cheap. They're still cheap to this day. They're cheap.
Right.
And he got mad, but you had your GM and the best player on the team, Michael Jordan, both tell you, I think Reinsdorf, I think the owner and Michael Jordan told him.
The GM too. The GM said it too. Mm-hmm.
Did Krause say it too? Okay. I wasn't sure
the
about.
GM said it too.
This
is the guy, by the way, Tone, before you go any further, this is the guy who's presenting him the deal, telling him not to sign this, by the way.
Right. And then he got mad at everybody else that the deal was bad. And then all of a sudden it was he was getting praised. He was getting praised. He was getting praised. He was getting praised. And then something switched,
Yeah.
and he feels like no one has ever given him the credit that he deserved. You were the second best player on the greatest team, but when they retired, in the greatest team in the history of basketball, you were the second best player on that team, and you got all-stars, all-NBA. Hell, he got an all-NBA and an all-defensive when he didn't deserve it. He played 44 games.
Barely played half the season that year.
And got that's how much respect the NBA community had for him. So all-stars, all-NBAs, all-defensive, Hall of Fame, jersey retired. He got the money eventually.
Team. I think he made the all-pro team every year but one. In the 90s, from 1990 to 1999, I think he missed the all-pro team one time. I think he made the all-league defensive team. I think he missed it one time in the 90s. But with that being said, to your point, Tone,
and the last point I was gonna say, don't forget, top 50, top 75, he makes those like
that's going on. That's 100% going on. Yes, 100% going on. And I think that this was triggered in 2020 when The Last Dance came out, Tone. That's when I think that this whole thing started, because it painted him in a light that he didn't appreciate, that it was just all about Jordan and he wasn't talked about enough. When Scottie, we were there, so we remember you. We remember how good you were. We remember what you contributed to that team. It was not just about Jordan. We all know that. But there's this resentment that I hear in his voice that he seems to give off this energy that, I was a lot better than what y'all give me credit for. The reason why I wasn't as good is because I was running with this dude, and I feel like he held me back. Even though this is the same dude who had nothing but good things to say about him afterwards. Nothing but good things to say about him. Not only him, there were coaches who had great things to say about him. Yeah, Scottie might have been a little soft because he did get some heat from Tex winners. He said, he's on record saying Tex was really hard on him. And he resented that. 100% he resented that. Tex was really hard on him. He probably wouldn't have been the player that he is today had Tex not been as hard on him as he was. If we're being honest, Tone.
He wouldn't have been the player he was today if Jordan wasn't as hard on him, if Tex wasn't as hard on him, if the Pistons weren't as hard on him, telling him that he was soft mentally. All of those things contributed to him becoming the player that he became.
But I also think, keep going, Tone, keep going.
No, but it's funny because you brought up The Last Dance, and other than him saying, I didn't like that they showed the clip where I think in the playoffs they had drawn up the play for Tony Kukoc to have the last shot and he refused to go in. Well, dude, that happened.
It 100% happened. That's not like that's made up. We didn't make that up.
Was it in that season of the last season? No. So was it put in? Was it put in purposely to knock Scottie? I don't think so. I think if you watch it again, you'll see it's part of their going back and telling the story of how they got to that point. And you kind of have to talk about that, because if you didn't, it would be irresponsible and say, then you're painting him out in a false light as well, pretending that he wasn't, that he wasn't.
Nope, we can't leave that stuff out, because what we can't do, Scottie, is we can't talk about how great you were in the Eastern Conference Championship, how great you were in the playoffs, how great you were in the championship series, how you guys ran off 6 titles in 8 years, how you were as awesome as you were when you ended up being 3rd in the league in MVP votes and you were first team All-Pro. We can't talk about just that without talking about the other stuff, right? We definitely have to talk about that stuff too. So with that being said, it on the one hand, Tone, I can understand it. And I've actually had this conversation with Tone in the past, where imagine you being awesome at your job. And as time goes on, all people say is, Jay, the only reason why you're as good as you are on this show is because of Tony. After a while, as I get older, that shit start getting corny to hear that. Like, wait a minute, I was a lot better than that. Meanwhile, Tone ain't got nothing but good things to say about me. Yo, this show is great. Jay is fantastic. Jay does this, Jay does that. But all I'm hearing from the outside is, this show, as good as it is, Jay, the only reason why this show is as good as it is because of Tone. He really is carrying you. You know, you hear that like 200-300 times. It's like, you know what? This shit getting kind of corny.
Jay,
Especially as you get older.
I hear it every day, Jay. And it doesn't affect me even one iota. Because every day they're like, yo, you're on with Unc. Yo, he got 1 million followers. Yo, they got him on ESPN. They put him on Bleacher Report. The Athletic. Oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's my guy. Yeah, 100%. Yes, it's fantastic. And you always say, yo, me and Tone, you never say anything. I never once have I been like, man, I can't believe all they ever do is, my youth basketball team. And I've shared this story with you. My youth basketball team says to me one day, yo, we didn't realize you do a show with that guy, that One More Day guy. That guy, don't give me a month, not a week. I was just asking for one more. What? Can we meet him? Yeah, you can meet him. There's zero resentment there because I'm comfortable with who I am.
I think that's the problem with Scottie.
Scottie Pippen is not comfortable with who he is.
Yeah,
now,
that's the problem with Scottie.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help that Jordan's son.
I think that compounds things, Tone. Yes, it does. That 100% is part of it. Yes, it is. Yes, and Tone, don't skip over that. That's 100% a part of this. That the dude that I was working with for years, and by the way, let's not leave out that I was there on the team when he had his son. I was there. I was on the team when this dude had his son. Right? I was there. I was on the team. Oh, it was awful. I was on the team when he used to bring his son around us. Right? And now this dude is sleeping with my ex-wife.
When Larissa used to bounce him on her knee, now it's the opposite.
Yes. We used to have for him to say, and I don't believe this in any light. For him to say, and he said this with a straight face, we weren't really friends. Hey, Scottie, stop. You've been over to the dude's house. You've had meals at his house. You've done a whole bunch of different things.
I have seen them out together.
Stop, Scottie.
I've seen Jordan, and I apologize, I don't know his new wife's name, but there's one where Jordan and his now wife, I think they were just dating at the time, Scottie and Larissa, the four of them are out to dinner. They'd go to charity events. Like, now I can't find any.
His wedding, Scottie, stop. You were in the dude's wedding.
I didn't see. He did say we never went golfing. I've been unable to find any evidence that they did go golfing together. However, you don't have to be best of friends just because you were on like a team together, but to suggest that they weren't, like you see them at baseball games together, you see them sitting courtside. Remember there's a clip where they're up in the press box. I think Pippen goes to a Charlotte game maybe, and he goes into the owner's box and they're all, big smiles, hugging. Like, so to pretend like it's always been a tumultuous relationship.
Yeah, like it was this. No, it wasn't, Scottie. No. You and that dude are a lot cooler than what you're telling us. That's number one. Number two, Tone, if I'm being honest, since we being honest, I think what was going on between Marcus and his ex-wife, that has a lot to do with the dichotomy between him and Jordan. I think that has a lot to do with it because I think he blames Mike for that. Like, you allowed this? But you okayed this?
Someone said Toast the Goat said it, and I think I remember him saying, MJ said, right? MJ told his son to leave her, to stay away from her. Like, I feel like I remember him saying, like, it's because it's not a good look. It's
awful. It's awful.
And again, and I'm okay with that. Being angry about that and saying, yo, like, I get it. I'm never talking to Michael Jordan again because of that. No problem. I'm okay with that. I get it.
Right.
But that doesn't change history, right? That doesn't change what happened. And I think this whole like narrative of trying to change what happened is just weird to me. It's just weird. And I feel bad for Scottie Pippen because there's clearly some mental stuff going on there.
It is, Tone. It 100% is. And whenever I hear him talk, it's cringe. I hear the young people use that word all the time. When I hear Scottie talking about Jordan, when I hear him talking about his time with the Bulls, it's cringe because he makes it sound like it was just an awful time. You guys don't really respect how good I really was. I was playing on a team and I was awesome, but all the praise goes to this guy. When in reality, Scottie, that's not the case, man. We all know how awesome you were. Sure, you were the number 2. You weren't Jordan good. But if we let him tell it, Tone, I honestly think he thinks he was as good as Jordan. I think he thinks that. I think he thinks he was Jordan good and Jordan held him back. I think he thinks that.
The thing I find funny is when I always say this, it's right. This is why I knock a lot of when we talk about defensive players, when we talk about rebounders, I knock them for this one thing, and I'm consistent with it. If you didn't have to carry a big the offensive load, it is easy. I'm not saying easy. It is easier to focus on defense, rebounding, whatever that is, right? So when I see people will compare, well, their assists and rebound numbers are kind of neck and neck, him and Jordan. Yeah, because Jordan was scoring twice as many points. Yes, he was taking twice as many shots, but that was their roles in the offense. Sure. And then the other thing that I find funny is when he says stuff like, I'm a better all-around player than Jordan. And there's a clip of Phil Jackson, who's being the coach, right? Saying that because that's what a coach is supposed to do. And people will, see, Scottie said it. He's a better all-around, so I agree. And I said, well, Scottie said he's better than LeBron. Oh, no, he's crazy. Look, he's crazy on both sides, guys. He can't be crazy when you agree with him and sane when you disagree, or the other way around. Sane when you agree and crazy when you disagree. Scottie Pippen is a great, great, great all-time great player.
Yes, he is.
There's no doubt.
I think he's top 25, Tone. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think it's 25 players in NBA history better than him. I don't.
I'm not going to disagree with you. He's just not a number one. Because we've seen,
and that's okay.
Yeah, we've seen him as a number one. He's a second round out. That's great. That's amazing. He's third in MVP voting. That's great. But okay,
like this right here, Tone. This comment from this guy Bruce Morrow. He says that Scottie Pippen's offensive game was mediocre. No, he wasn't. Scottie Pippen was not an average offensive player. No, he was not. He was elite. Just because he wasn't averaging 30 a game like they do today, that doesn't mean that he had an average offensive game. That's just not true.
His offensive, I wouldn't say it was elite, but it was definitely not mediocre. It was, I would say it was like very, very good / great, maybe great, when you consider his playmaking ability as well as, because he wasn't a scorer. Like, you didn't want him, pulling up and shooting jump shots. You didn't want him.
He could score. Those two things are not the same thing. He could score. He wasn't a scorer. He could score. He could
score in that offense in transition. He was a great transition scorer, and like I said, and a facilitator of the offense. And like I said, he was a great offensive player.
Yep.
Not mediocre. And maybe that's part of the problem. He feels like people are not giving him enough credit for how good he could be.
Right. Tone, do you think that in this era, where we live now, because of, like, for example, what we're doing, do you think that this has kind of clouded Scottie's judgment because he hears so much different things about what he was, as opposed to in years past, like, we didn't have this problem with him. We didn't have this problem with him at all.
I think here's what happened. Last Dance comes out and they show that piece of him refusing to go in. That's the fuse. That's the fuse. Marcus starts to date Larissa. They've lit the fuse. And then he gets on Twitter and boom. That's when I've seen the most crazy ever since he got on Twitter, because if you go through and start reading what they say about any topic, you could say rainbows are beautiful and you will get the weirdest, craziest, nastiest comments on X, excuse me.
Yeah.
And I think that was the 3 stages of Scottie's mental health deterioration.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I don't think he's top 25. But he is, he's definitely in the conversation for, it's tough for me with number 2. It's tough for me for number 2s, right? Like, is there 25 number 1s all time that I would put over him? And I'd have to think about it to say, but I wouldn't say it's crazy. What I'm not going to split hairs. That's why I said I'm not going to argue, because I probably have him top 30. So top 25, like, it's not, I'm not going to split hairs, but I do devalue
being a number two
over being a number one.
Now, do you devalue now, Tone? If you devalue being a number two, what if I'm the best number two ever?
Yeah, and that's where know why I say like I probably have him top 30. I just that's why I said I'm not gonna split hairs over 5 spots, because you at that point you can make an argument. I'm not saying he's not top 50, and you're saying top 25. Okay, then we're having a discussion.
The reason why I say that, Tone. So James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel, Bryant, Curry, Oscar, Jerry West, Moses Malone, Doc, KD, Karl Malone, Kevin Garnett, Havlicek. Then it gets tricky with me with the next 5. So David Robinson, Dirk Nowitzki, Isaiah, David Robinson, Charles Barkley, Stockton, Scottie Pippen. That's when it gets tricky around that area.
And the thing is, and you're also getting into what I think is the hardest part of when we do these lists, right?
Yeah.
It is you're going to compare Isaiah Thomas to Scottie Pippen. How do you do that? So different, right? In terms of, well, just their size, their style of play, the position they play. Like there's so many factors to go in. But like
the reason why I'm bringing this up, Tone, is because again, top 25, I think he's arguably in that space right there, right? I feel like he's arguably in that space of the top 25 players. I think
stop me when there's a player that he's clearly better than. Jordan, James, Jabbar, Johnson, Chamberlain, Russell, Bird, Duncan, Robertson, Bryant, Shaq, Durant, Olajuwon, Dr. J, Moses Malone, Steph, Dirk, Giannis, Jerry West, Baylor, Garnett, Barkley, Malone, Stockton, Robinson, Havlicek, Isaiah Thomas, George Mikan, Chris Paul.
That's weird.
Okay, but let me give you a couple more. Dwayne Wade. Well, I'll hold Chris Paul for a second. Dwayne Wade, Allen Iverson, Kawhi Leonard, Bob Cousy, Bob Pettit, Dominique Wilkins, Steve Nash, Rick Barry, Kevin McHale, Patrick Ewing.
That's like 35 guys.
That's 41 guys. Right? Walt Frazier, Gary Payton. Right now we're getting into conversation. Right. Then you got Bill Walton, Bob McAdoo. Like when that's why I say when I get to 45, I'm like, yeah, Jerry Lucas. Maybe not. I don't know. Ray Allen, Wes Unseld, Nate Thurman. There's a lot of there's
really good players. 100% they are. Tone it's a lot of really
40 of those 40, with the exception of Chris Paul that you balked at. How many would you say he's clearly above? Clearly above. And that and that's the point.
To be honest with you, I think that there aren't many that I would say that he's clearly better than. I think he's better. I think he's better than Chris Paul. I think he's better than Dwayne Wade. And I think when you said those guys, I think that was around like 27, 28, like around that area of those guys.
Dwayne Wade was 30.
Yeah, so
that's why I say he's top 30, because I'm with you. I think he's in that spot. But that's why, like from 25 to 35, there's no you can make a case. Like someone would say, oh no, Dwayne Wade's clearly better because he led a team to a championship. Right.
But I can say that, and I can rebut that with as good as I was the best in the league. Okay, you led a team to the NBA championship, and I could get with that.
Hold on, led a team to the championship, won the finals MVP, went to 4 more finals, one of which he was the best player. Sorry, 2011 he was better, and so he still won 3, went to 5, but he has where he was the number 1 guy on 1 or possibly 2 of those.
Yeah.
So you can, I would have Dwayne Wade over Scottie, but I could see the argument.
The reason why is because exactly what we just got finished talking about him being clearly the number 2. And if he's clearly the number 2, I'm the best ever at that. You, as the number one, and you were able to do that, and I won't argue that, right? I won't argue that you were able to win the NBA championship as the number one. And I could bring in the fact, Shaq wasn't washed. Shaq was still elite. But I think that's neither here nor there. What I can say is that you were, for that specific time, you were the number one. I was the number two on my teams of those 6 championships. Not only was I the number two, I was the best. And there was nobody else who can say that they were better than me as a number two. If I think about what Bryant was
in that range, in that time, you're saying
not just in. I'm not just even saying in that time, Tone. I'm thinking about overall, because I think about like Magic. I don't think Magic was a number two. I think he was a 1A. I don't think Bryant was a number two. I don't think Elgin Baylor was a number two. I think that these guys were 1A. I think they were one. And don't get me wrong.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I think Scottie was clearly the second best player, and with him being clearly the second best player,
you're comparing him to a clear number two, like a Klay Thompson.
None of them dudes was better than him. None of them.
He's the number two. Yeah,
none of them dudes were better than him at all.
He is Chris Middleton on the Bucks. Like he's the clear, like when they won their chip. Yeah, okay.
Sure.
He's Jamal Murray when the Nuggets win.
100%. And with that, I'm the best. I'm the best at that. I'm not just the best rebounder. And during my time, even though I am the number two, because you've already seen me as the number one, right? You've already seen me as the number one. And as the number one, I was able to take my team, because you could be a number one and not win the NBA championship. You and I have already had this conversation, Tone, about being the number one. There's the number one on a playoff team. There's the number one on a championship contender. There's the number one on a championship team. I think Scottie Pippen was the number one on a I think he was the number one on a playoff contender. I don't think he was the number one on a championship contender. I don't think that Bulls team was that good.
Listen, that Bulls team overachieved in 1994. And the reason why
they were going to be garbage, Tone. I did not think they were going to be that good.
Really? The 94 team?
I did not think the 55 wins. I did not think they were going to be that. After they lost Jordan, no, I did not think they were going to be that good, Tone. No,
So you thought they were going to be what they were the year after, where they're like kind of hovering?
Yeah, it's like around 500. I thought that they would be that. I still thought they'd make the playoffs, but I thought that they'd be a lower level. It was and I want you to stay on your point, Tone, because in that season, that's when I found out how good Scottie Pippen really was. I didn't know he was that good. When he was up for league MVP and he won the All-Star game MVP, I did not know he was that good. I was like, oh, shit, Scottie a lot better than what I thought.
Because I feel teams that win multiple championships, not like a one-and-done team, a team that wins a couple, obviously not a three-peat because that doesn't happen very often, but two, they're able to sustain some of that if they stay healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I say I think that team, I said that team overachieved, but not by... Like, I still thought they were a playoff team. I still thought they were a 47, 50 win team because of the fact that they're coming off a championship. Well, 3 championships
in a row.
Everybody stays healthy. And that was the key, right? I'm looking in retrospect. Everybody stays healthy. Yes, your best player is gone. And his primary role was as a scorer, although he was a defensive guy and all that. His role in that team was, hey, we want you to score. You add in, not to say that this is going to compensate for him alone, but you add in Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, about halfway through the season, Luke Longley. So you have some shooting, you have some offense, obviously not 30 a game from Kukoc, and Scottie Pippen's role, Horace Grant's role, BJ Armstrong's role, they all move up. And no one, I think people forget, not from an offensive standpoint, Pete Myers was actually a really good defender.
He was.
The toughest matchup Jordan ever had was actually in practice against Pete Myers, not against another shooting guard in the league. And so he was good defensively. So you bring the same system with all the same guys with one exception. And I'm just like, so that's why I said I still expected them to be good. And then I saw it again. If you fast forward, and again, I'm saying having seen it, right? That's why I'm not saying back then. I'm saying having the knowledge I have today. Then I saw it again because the Toronto Raptors win an NBA championship. They lose Kawhi Leonard, who's clearly the only reason why they won the championship. They lose Danny Green, and they win and they're higher percentage because there's less games the following season, but they win a higher percentage of their games the next season.
Sure.
Well, they lost, and they didn't replace them with anybody. No one else came in. They just lost their 2 starters. Okay, so 40% of their starting unit is gone. Their best player by far is gone, and they win more games, but they get knocked out, I think, in the first or second round.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's where the difference is of those great players. It's less, I think, when you have that healthy winning culture in the regular season. It's more, what do they do in the playoffs? And we saw they lost to a team in 7 games, granted, in the Knicks that they never lost to with Jordan. So that's why I was like, I didn't expect them to be trash. And like I said, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense that they won 55 games. But again, to your point, Scottie Pippen really stepped up that season.
Yeah. I did not think he was going to be that good, Tone. Yeah. And to your point, when I think about how good that team was, and with losing Jordan, okay, so when you lose a piece like Jordan, what that means is now all those other guys who weren't there or who weren't major contributors now, because we got to make up for 30. Don't forget, Tone, that year that Jordan, the year before when they won the championship, Jordan was averaging almost 33 a game that year. We got to make up for that. That's now gone.
But there's also 20 plus field goal attempts that somebody else gets.
Right. And that means that these guys now have to step up. So I think that goes into how good Scottie was as a facilitator, as a playmaker. But then you add in, okay, so we got guys like Steve Kerr, who's a journeyman on the crew. Bill Cartwright is still here. He's long in the tooth. Pete Myers, who I don't really know much about at that point. I don't really know much about Pete Myers. We don't live in 2025 and 1994, 93, 94. I don't really know much about Pete Myers, except I do know he's replacing Jordan. He could defend, and he's athletic. That's all I know about him. I don't know much about him. BJ Armstrong, who is now going into the starting lineup as a full-time player.
Yeah, he's the lead guard. Yeah.
Yes, Paxson is now taking a lesser role, and he's on his way to retiring. So this team is completely different. I did not have them winning close. They won closer to 60 games than been 500.
Steve Kerr does slide in to take over that Paxson role of that spot up shooter, and that's a pretty good transition from Paxson to Kerr. And Grant, who became, an all defensive, all-star, all defensive team member. Like he gets some more shots, and his shots are facilitated in that triangle offense by Pippen, so they're close to the rim, and if he takes 5 more shots that from Jordan, he's hitting 50-something% because they're close in. Most of them are dunks and layups and whatever. So and he wasn't a bad kind of mid-range, in like close.
Scottie could knock down the mid-range. Scottie was good in the mid-range. Yes, he was.
Ask Grant. Excuse me. So I don't know. I believe the term is Delu. I believe the term is Delu.
We got a little long in the tooth about Scottie. I just feel like there's there needs to be a sit down. And what I mean when I say there needs to be a sit down, we need to get to the bottom of what's really going on with Scottie Pippen, because the resentment that I hear from him and it's almost like not jealousy, but the resentment that I hear from him, I don't like it. I don't, because Scottie was much better than that, and I don't think he should be remembered like that. No.
Yeah, and this is for sure. This is actually tarnishing his image more than anything else.
Yes.
Speaking of sit downs,
think about early start of the season. You were being talked about as MVP candidate. You're obviously right there for All NBA again this season, All-Star, and then Defensive Player of the Year award. When you think about accolades like that, obviously that comes with team success as well. How much in the thick of it do you feel like you are for those awards?
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know. I mean, it looked like it's gonna go. I don't know. I think.
Do you agree Wemby's going to get it?
I feel like the narrative is being pushed for Wemby to get it, right? Obviously, he's averaging like 4 blocks or something crazy like that. But then it goes back. Are we talking about just blocks? Because then I should so. I don't know. I don't know how anything works anymore.
You just made the list.
That AD is so honest. That it's gonna hurt some people's feelings, because
it is.
I know you're gonna call me an old head when I say this, but I feel like the accolades in the last 5 years, and they always, don't get me wrong, there was always a component of narrative, always a comparative of narrative. But I feel like in the last 5 years, narrative now is trumping game. And that is a slippery slope that we're heading down.
I don't like that tone, and because what it sounds to me like it's not actually what I'm doing and what I'm producing. It's what people are saying about me.
Because he said if it was blocks, well, then I probably should already have a couple. Yeah,
Tone. Just so you know, and we're gonna have this conversation about block shots, but this stuff was going on before. This was going on previous to Wemby, and on top of that, these guys like Anthony Davis. They look at it different because why are we stopping here? If the league MVP was about just getting buckets, well, shit, maybe I should start leading the league in scoring. I can do that. 100%. If the defensive player of the year was about, the steals leader, I can get in the passing lane and I can get you 2-3 steals a night. I can do that. If that's what this is about, what exactly is the defensive player of the year about? Well, it's about you affecting your team defensively. Is that what's going on with Wemby?
Well,
no.
I disagree. I disagree with that. I disagree with that because there's one consistent for the most part in Defensive Player of the Year awards. It has been the player on the best defensive unit.
Yep.
Who has is at the top of the list when it comes to certain defensive stats.
Sure.
Both regular stats, so like steals or blocks, steals and blocks, and advanced statistics. Like when I use this one because it's the best clear-cut one. When LeBron got robbed of his depoy, Marc Gasol was on the higher-rated defensive team. He had a better stocks, so steals and blocks combined than LeBron, and he led him in every single advanced stat, like defensive win share and all that kind of stuff. Every single one he led, and he won. And if you go look at every year, that is 90% of the time that person, right? Marcus Smart was not the best defensive player of the year. He won. But if you look at Boston Celtics, you look at his steals, blocks, and then advanced metrics, he's a clear pick.
So it sounds.
So there was a formula. If they do it with Wemby now, that's why I say it goes away from that formula, whether you like the formula or not. It goes completely away from that formula and goes solely on narrative and one stat blocks.
Well, that's what I was about to say, Tone, because what it sounded to me like everything that you just said, if I'm on a team that's awesome defensively, and I'm the reason why, I'm probably the defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Now, if we're moving that because we've had exceptions, that's what it sounds like Wemby is going to be. It sounds like Wemby's going to be the exception that Joker was in 22. It sounds like Wemby is going to be the exception like Russ was. Like Russ was. Hello, dear. How are you? It sounds like Wemby is going to be the exception like Joker was for the league MVP in 22. It sounds like Wemby's going to be the exception like Russ was. Here's the problem with that, though, Tone. The problem with that, though, is what Russ did in 16, 17, where he led the league in scoring. I think he was second in the league in assists, and he was in the top 10 in the league in rebounding. Okay, that wasn't something that was going on when Joker, what he had done, he hadn't done that. That hadn't been done since Jabbar in 76. When I look at what Wemby is doing with blocks, that was going on. That's been going on in the past. This isn't something that just Wemby came along and this happens right now. The problem that I'm having with this, Tone, is that Wemby can't be the defensive player of the year in year 5, year 6. He's got to be the defensive player of the year now because we got to be right about who he is.
It's your fault. It's your fault. Do you know why it's your fault?
Why am I to blame for this?
Because you told the NBA and they listened to you that they need a face of the league. And they have faltered with everyone that they picked, from Zion to Ja to whoever. And so they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait. They're just like, okay, well, it's going to be Wemby. Let's do it today.
And it sucks too, Tone, because what we're doing is we're rushing this kid to be something that he's not right now. That's what we're doing. We're rushing this kid to be the defensive player of the year right now, right? We're rushing this kid to be the they're already down by 15 anyway, so it doesn't.
Well, Davis has an abdominal. That's going to be an issue. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
He has to be the defensive player of the year today. He can't be the defensive player of the year 5 years from now. He can't be the league MVP 4 years from now. He's got to be that right now. And the reason why he's got to be that right now, because we have to be right about who he is. We can't, he can't develop into this and him turn into something great. No, he got to be that right now.
We don't have 3-4 years to wait because our TV ratings in the US are falling. So we need a face of the league.
Right.
I don't like it either. I'm just telling you, like, from a business perspective, you hit the nail on the head when you said part of the reason is they don't have a Wemby, they don't have a face of the league. And so, well, here's an opportunity where we have one. We sent him to Paris. It was a huge success.
Sure.
We showed the highlights of this freak of nature, 12-foot dude roaming around on the perimeter and blocking shots from the foul line.
Sure.
And so that is a person we can all watch in amazement, because I've always said this. We have these points in our lives where we all wanted to be like Mike, but we all knew we couldn't. That dude could fly. We wanted
he tricked us, Tone. He tricked me. I was drinking Gatorade. I wore the shoes. I was never going to be that good. Never.
I was eating ballpark Franks. I was
never going to be that good, no matter what I did. I was never going to be that good. But keep going, Tone.
Right. Then LeBron comes along, and you're like, yeah, okay. But he's 6'9", 250. He's a freight train. Can't do that.
Can't relate to that. No.
Then Steph comes in, and we're like, oh, we can do that. And we all start shooting from the logo and realize, oh, we can't do that either. Now we have a lull. Well, who is it? Well, here's this dude that we can just we're never going to be. What is he? 7'4", 7'5", 9-foot wingspan. Like he's tween 3. He's hitting it. Logo 3. He's hitting it. Then he goes and he gets beat. He gets beat, and then just turns around and swats the guy from out of nowhere. So we can watch in amazement, and the kids are watching going, wow, Wemby, wow. Well, why are we going to wait as marketers to jump on that? Nope. Let's go. Let's make him the decoy. Let's put him in the MVP conversation, and let's hope and wish and pray that the Spurs organization, which they have historically have done, put a team around him to make him get some deep playoff runs. Let's throw him out, to the world to see. I do. I know you don't like it. I'd do the same thing from a business.
I was about to say that, Tone. You're a businessman, and it does make sense 100%, because for the exact reasons you said, we're floundering right now with ratings. People aren't tuning in as much. People aren't watching as much. We aren't as popular as I would like us to be. Well, even though the majority of us, to your point, when you talk about Steph Curry, well, the majority of us can relate to Steph Curry. Why? Steph Curry looked like somebody that you would bump into on the street.
But he's the one. Like, when you think about it, if you go back through the history of time, right? George Mikan was considered like a freak.
We 6'10" in the 50s.
Yeah, you weren't going to be Kareem. No chance.
Nope.
Magic was a 6'9" point guard, and Larry Bird was a 6'10". Like, you weren't going to be him either, although he looked like maybe a lot of America with, the blonde hair and whatever. He was 6'10". Again, I mentioned Jordan, Shaq. We weren't going to be Shaq unless we stuck ourselves together. That wasn't going to happen.
No.
Right? LeBron. Steph's the one exception where we're like, oh, I could see myself doing that, even though you couldn't. So I think we're going back to what has worked, which is we ain't going to be 7'4".
You're not.
We're not.
You're not going to be that big. But he's the one guy that can put eyes on the TV because he does stuff that'll keep you in amazement. The fact that he's a Euro, I don't think that matters. Off the strength that he does look like one of us in terms of a ball player. He looks like he look, because if we being honest, Tone, I can't relate to a dude that's 7.5 feet tall. I can't. No, I cannot relate to a dude. However, as a ball player, I do gravitate toward a guy like Wemby. Like, wait a minute, I might see something that I haven't seen in a long time.
As a casual fan, okay, people are gonna hate what I'm about to say, but it's all factual. As a casual fan, you have kind of the best of not just both worlds. You have the best of everything as a marketing person. You have a light-skinned dude who isn't bad looking, who is a freak of nature in terms of his height and length that people will want to look at just for his sheer size.
Yep.
Who looks the part, like we said, who doesn't necessarily love all the nonsense of America. So the fact that he's a Euro actually almost helps him right now, because he's not going to get caught up in a lot of divisive politics. He's like, I don't care. I want baguette. I'm happy. Like he's just like he's out of some, and so it's like he's the perfect guy. He's got a nice smile and he's got a freakish kind of game, like that. People from the out, again, I'm talking casual fans, would be like, what is that? That dude, like he's reaching up and grabbing the rim. He's not even jumping. That's great. Oh, and he's shooting. Oh, he's doing the stuff that I know.
And it's not gangly or uncoordinated neither.
No,
like it actually looks good.
Yeah, it is a marketer's dream, because the fan will love it. The casual, he's the type of guy that, like you said, like where people used to say, well, oh, Jordan's on tonight. God, Wemby's in the final. Oh, we got to see Wemby. Hey, honey, I know this is cliche, but it's true. Hey, honey, you got to see this Wemby kid. Come here. Like when you're watching you got to, whoa, what? How tall is he? Because you know this. We're not even that tall. 6'3", 6'4", and people still like, "Ooh, how tall are you?" And then when I go with some of my friends
who are a foot taller than me, are you kidding me?
I have friends who are like 6'6", 6'8", and we go and it's always, "Whoa, how tall are you?" So imagine now, seven
dude that's a foot taller than you, a foot taller than me. I mean, give me a break, yo. No, I don't think so.
So this stays with Wemby. So Mello Williams, thank you for the super chat. All I've heard when it comes to Depoy is Wemby because of blocks. Where's Dyson Daniels? Whereas Dyson Daniels leads in steals but gets zero recognition.
That's just not true, because yes, he does. He gets a lot of recognition. They talk about Dyson Daniels all the time. Yes, they do. And the fact that he plays
outside of the NBA fan, no one knows who Dyson Daniels is.
And here's the problem with that. The problem with that is that, outside the NBA fan doesn't really know much about Wemby neither. And we're starting to come around to that. We are. We're starting to come around to that. We are. We're 100% starting to come around to that. But I don't think that outside of the NBA community, there's not many people, and not just the NBA community, international basketball, there's not many people who really know Wemby like that. Like Wemby isn't a household name yet. I don't think so.
Well, when he wins Depoy, maybe he will be. All right, so we have another super chat. We'll get to that in a second, but first,
more news.
More like trivia. I'm only gonna you don't have to get all five, but I'm gonna ask you who leads in some categories, and I want you to see how many you can get. Offensive fouls.
Who leads the league in offensive fouls? I don't think it's Cat again, but I'm gonna say Cat.
It is Cat again, and again by a wide margin. With 33, second place, DeMontis Sabonis with 25, so almost 10 more. Or for those doing scoring at home, DeMontis has like 2/3 of that, approximately. Kicked balls. No. Basketballs that they've
not those kind of balls. We're talking about we're talking about the ball. No, not those balls.
And no, so not like Draymond Green, like
actual, no, not kicking you in the dick. No, not those kind of balls. No, we're not doing that. Hold on, I'm stumped.
I'll just say the same from last time.
Cat
was 16 in second place. In second place, Bam Adebayo with 11. So he leads by a large margin.
There's a stat for that? Wow.
There's a stat for everything.
What does it sound like?
Points from drives.
Let me guess, Tone. Cat.
Incorrect. I'll give you a second guess.
Who get Giannis?
Giannis did not make. I have the top 10. Giannis did not make the list.
Wow, guys getting to the rim. It's not Giannis. Jalen Brunson.
You just made the list.
Number 2.
Number 2. SGA.
SGA is number 1. SGA is number 1 with 15.6 points per game off of drives to the basket.
Yep.
Brunson 12.1. De'Aaron Fox, the newest Los Angeles Laker, with 11.8. And LaMelo Ball with 11.4. And Cade Cunningham actually rounding out the top 5.
Cade Cunningham gets downhill. Yes, he does.
Deflections per game. So not necessarily steals, but how many deflections you get per game.
I'm going to say Dyson Daniels.
6.5 per game. And it's not even close. Herb Jones is second with 4.5. Which is probably why he gets the most steals per games too. He's just he is a ball hawk.
Yes.
I'm gonna stick on this just so we can close it out because I know we wanted to talk about your guy, the deep boy. So do you think the fact that he's leading by this much, because it's not even close, they're giving him like Mark Eaton kind of vibes, like he's going to win deep boy because it's just such a wide margin?
Maybe and that's what I was thinking. So that may be the case. Off the strength that he's almost doubling what Anthony Davis is doing.
Well, now with Davis being hurt, he might be, he might be able to
150. I mean, I think he's averaging almost 4 blocks a game. However, I mean, this kind of, like I said, this kind of stuff has been going on, Tone. It has been, like, because you just talked about.
When was the last time someone doubled the next closest person in blocks? Now that doesn't necessarily make you defensive player of the year. I agree with that, but I'm just out of curiosity. I don't know. I'm asking.
I'm not even thinking about like doubling a guy in blocks more than I'm thinking about blocks per game, because I think he's averaging something like. I think he's averaging close. Yeah, I think he's averaging close to 4 blocks a game. Yeah, I think he's averaging close to 4 blocks a game. And with him averaging that, I'm thinking to myself, I know Mark Eaton had a 5-year stretch from like 84 to 88, where he averaged 4.5 blocks a game. Lajuan had a 4-year stretch from 89 to 93, where he averaged 4.5 blocks a game. So this has been going on in the past, right? The guys have been doing this. And just so you know, I think the year that Lajuan did that, he didn't make the All-League defensive team. He finished second in defensive player of the year. Did make the All-League defensive team. It's ridiculous. But
yeah,
I think I'm to be honest with you, Tone, I'm more on Anthony Davis's page in the aspect that, what are you telling me this means? Right? What are you telling me? Are you telling me? Are you telling me? What up, nephew? Go to bed.
Say good night.
Hello.
What's up, brother?
He's tired. He's out.
If you're telling me that this is the mark for being the defensive player of the year, Anthony Davis is like, I can average 4 blocks a game. If I totally focus on
that,
if I totally focused on this, I can average 4 blocks a game. I can do that. Just like if you told the league, all right, well, the MVP of the league, if you averaging 33 a game, and that means your team is at the top of the league, okay, you're gonna win the league MVP. Well, shit, I can do that. Okay, there's plenty of guys that are saying that I can do that. So to Anthony Davis's point, what are you telling me? Does this mean that it's the best rim protector? What is the defensive player of the year? Because it's not just blocking shots. No, that's not it. It's way more than that. It has to be way more than that.
Do you want to go? We can go down 2 different paths right here. We can go down the more Delulu, crazy people in the NBA, or we can do a super chat.
Let's stick with. I'll take Delusion for 400, Tone.
Delusion for 400. The answer is the Miami Heat and or their fan base. I don't know who came up with this, but Tyler Hero, 25. Bam, 27. Ware, 20. And Jovic, 21. These four combined for 90 out of 125 points for Miami tonight. The future is so bright.
I like what they're doing, Tone. I do. I like what's going on in Miami in terms of their future. Bam is 27 years old. Tyler Hero, I feel like he's coming into his own. This is one of the few seasons that he's been healthy. I love this kid, Khalil Ware. You and I have had this conversation numerous times, Tone, that I think Bam is a 4. Well, now we got our 5-man, and now I can move Bam to the 4 and play him there exclusively. This kid, Jovic, I think he could be a better version of what Duncan Robinson was. I don't know if he could be the shooter that Duncan Robinson is, but I do think that he can knock down open shots and get to the rim a little bit more. I think that they're a league guard away from really challenging in the Eastern Conference. I think that they're I'm on record saying this, and I don't think it's going to happen, but I would call up Memphis and see if we can get a third team involved in this and see if I can get Scottie Pippen Jr. down here, because I love Scottie Pippen on this crew. No, that's not happening. But I'm just saying, when I look at this crew and I look at what the landscape of this team looks like in terms of young guys, I like what's going on, man. I like the core of this crew. I think that they move off of Duncan Robinson after this season. I think they get even younger, and I think that they get some more shooting, and I think that they're on their way to doing something special, Tone. I do.
Who's the number 2 on this squad?
Bam.
Who's the number 1?
Tyler Hero.
Then you're going nowhere.
But here's the
you're going nowhere.
Wait a minute, Tone, because I already know what you're thinking.
No,
Tone. We're not doing. Here's why, Tone. I just need you to hear me out for a second. This crew is built around a specific thing. We're not going to be the team that's going to average 130, 100. No, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to build our team of defense and toughness, and we're going to get guys to protect Tyler Hero. He just needs to be an average defender at best. We got guys who will defend. Jaime Jaquez can defend. Bam is arguably the best defensive player in the game. This kid, Khalil Ware, I think he got the potential to be an all-star one day. I think he could be a better version of what Jared Allen is up in Cleveland. I think he could be a better version of that. And what we can do with this unit is we can build this unit around defense, rebounding, and toughness. And a lot of our offense is going to come, from defense. A lot of our offense. We're going to play faster. We're going to get up and down the floor more. We're going to get more transition buckets. That's the way we're going to win with this group. Because we don't have because I don't think Tyler, let's be clear about one thing, Tone. Tyler Hero is not, he ain't Kobe Bryant. No, he's not that good. But I do think that he can give me,
he's not Thomas Bryant. You can't have a 6th man being your best player.
Really?
If you're talking championship.
James Harden turned out to be Houston's best player, and they had some things not go their way. I mean, they were right there on the doorstep.
He turned into that on a different team with a different coach in a different system that had no success in the playoffs. Are we talking about, hey, we want to be good in the regular season?
No, we're talking about being good in the postseason too. And again, James Harden did turn into that later. Tyler Hero, for all intents and purposes, he's turning into something special. He's 25 a game. I think he's 25, 5 and 5. He's been fantastic, Tone.
He hasn't been fantastic.
And his game is translated. But his game is translated to the postseason. The problem was that he's gotten injured. We haven't seen him in the postseason the last couple of years. In 23, when he went to the finals, he broke his hand. And then last year,
you destroy Joel Embiid for always being hurt in the playoffs, and you're giving him a pass.
I'm not giving him a pass because last year, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, last year he played in the playoffs. 100, and they just lost to a better Boston team. That Boston team was just overwhelmingly better. The year before that,
Hero is your best player. Can you win an NBA championship?
I don't think that I think that's unfair, Tone. And the reason why, and I've come around on this too. I wasn't able to do that before. And you being from Toronto, you can appreciate this. I said years ago, you are not winning the NBA championship with Kyle Lowry as your starting league guard. You're not doing it.
But he's
only
not
except yes. Only except yes, he is.
When was he their best player?
I didn't say no. I didn't say that. Only except you are winning the championship with Kyle Lowry as your starting league guard, but you got to put something around him that's conducive. Well,
Right.
We put in the pieces around Tyler Hero to give us an opportunity to win. Because for all intents and purposes, the year that they went to the finals in 22, I mean, Bam was a 19-10 guy and arguably the best defensive player in the game. He went the other way this year. I don't know why. I had Bam making the All-Pro team this year.
He's 27 playing out of position. It's not going to get better. He's not going to get better when he hits 28, 29, 30. He's undersized playing out of position. And I'm not I love Bam, but my point is comparing Kyle Lowry and saying, well, you can't win with him as your lead guard. Well, no, he's not your best player, though. What I'm saying is if Tyler Hero is your best player, you're not competing for an NBA championship. And again, everyone thinks I'm not knocking him. It's the same thing I said to your friend there about Scottie Barnes. If he's your best player, you're not winning a championship. Does that mean you're not going to make the playoffs? No, you probably will make the playoffs, make the second round. Cool. That's the
But
cap.
we don't. But here's the problem, though, Tone. We don't know if you can win an NBA championship with blank as your best player until you actually do it. I don't know if I don't know if we can. I wasn't sure. Like I told you, you couldn't tell me that you could win an NBA championship with Kyle Lowry as your starting league guard because of what I saw in the playoffs, his shooting woes. I'm like, you're not winning with that. You're not. You need a guy who can knock down open shots more consistently, and this guy can't. Excuse me. And this guy can't. Turns out, yes, he can. Yes, he can. If you put the right pieces around him, turns out, yes, he can do it. And he did it. Well, until a guy actually does it, I can't say that Tyler Hero, can you win an NBA championship with Tyler Hero? I mean, could we say the same thing about?
I just want as your best player.
As your best player. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No.
Because we're talking about these guys that are 20 and 21, they're going to need 2 or 3 years, right? Right? We want them right
at least
before
2 years.
So now you got 29, 30-year-old Bam.
Who's still in his prime?
I don't think the timing fits. And to create a team based on defense in today's NBA with Tyler Hero as your best player, with Eric Spoelstra's type of coaching, where they want to build around second round and undrafted players as the formula for their bench units, I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen.
Like Oklahoma City has done that too. I just think you got to get lucky, Tone. And I've actually had this conversation not too long ago. If you look at Oklahoma City's landscape, Tone, I don't remember hearing Lou Dort's name called on draft night. Don't.
But they got very lucky with a trade that was forced on them for Paul George and got SGA and others.
Sure.
And that worked out really well. SGA is significantly better than Tyler Hero, and they're still now they might be title contenders.
Right.
They're clearly having the regular season to put them into that conversation.
Sure.
But does that translate into playoff success? Yet to be seen.
Were we talking about SGA 3 years ago as being a number one on a championship team? Because I'm confident that I wasn't. I'm 100% confident that I was. I did not think that he could turn into being this good. So, like I said, Tone, I did not hear Lou Dort's name called on draft night. This kid Aaron Wiggins that they have, right? This kid Aaron Wiggins that they have, he's the same pick as Bronny James. And I told the fellas this earlier. I went 10 years back. With the exception of him and Bronny James, there are no other 55 picks in the game. None. There are none. Hartenstein, this kid Hartenstein, this is his 6th team in the last 7 years. He's a journeyman that they got him on a crew. So Cason Wallace, who they got from the University of Kentucky, who is turning out to be a damn good player. Jalen Williams, who they got with the number 12 pick. Tone, just so you know, Tyler Hero was the number 13 pick. And Bam was the number 14 pick. So it looks to me with the in SGA, for all intents and purposes, he was buckets. He was their Jimmy Butler. He's their Jimmy Butler. Or let me rephrase that. Jimmy Butler is Oklahoma City's SGA. That's who he is. So with that being said, this group, the way that they built it with Lou Dort, Andrew Wiggins, let's see, Duncan Robinson. I'm not Duncan Robinson. Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins,
Chet at some point.
Chet, absolutely a lottery pick, 100%. Chet as a lottery pick, and I don't think Bam is that good. No, but those other guys that you have, that's kind of what was going on with the Miami Heat.
Right, they're just missing. They don't have SGA. Tyler Hero. Listen, you always say this, and I look it up, and statistically, you're it's more often than not, it's true. Fifth year, right? We see who you really are.
Sure.
So, what do you think's more realistic? So Tyler Hero's in his 6th season.
He showed up in 18. Yep.
In the last 4 years, he has averaged approximately just over 17 field goal attempts per game.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of this year, where he's averaging 24, the other 3, he's averaged 20. So what is more realistic? That he's a 17 field goal attempt, 20 point per game guy, or this year is the new him in year 6? I think this is the blip. So I think you have a guy who's going to shoot 17 a game to get 20. That is not a recipe for success in today's NBA.
I think that's who I think, and I don't know if I can.
And when I
argue
say
that point.
success, deep playoff success. I'm not
sure.
Again,
like we in the East Finals, we going deep into the playoffs, right?
I think the team makes the playoffs. They go to the second round, and we're all disappointed that they never make it any further.
Right.
That's who I think this team is, as it stands.
It's just hard to find that one guy, Tone. It is hard to find SGA. It's hard to find Joker. It is hard to find Luka. It is difficult to find that guy. That's why I feel like I feel like when you're trying to win, there's a formula, and with that formula, you do have to have a guy. I'm not going to argue that point, Tone. You do have 100% have to have a guy.
We do know what the formula is, though. So if I may, we know the formula is superstar, secondary scorer, defender. Those are the 3, and then you pieces around. But those are the first 3 things you need.
Great rotation guys.
Yeah, always. Like that's almost a given for both players, right? Yeah. But those 3 things. So I think Tyler Hero is the secondary scorer. I think Bam is the defensive guy, or if you want to make wherever
you don't have Luka,
you can have who's the one? That's why I say you're missing that one that you brought up. The Raptors. The Raptors had a great team. If you look at their record over that 5 or 6 year stretch, only the Golden State Warriors won more games with them than them in the regular season.
It was winning like 55 games, something crazy like that.
Until they got that number one, that guy who will take over the game in the last minute and get you the bucket that you need in Kawhi Leonard, they weren't winning a championship. That's where Miami is right now. They have all the pieces except, unfortunately, the most important one, which is who's that number one, because no offense to Tyler Hero, if it's a minute left in the game, he's not the guy I think is going to close out the game for me when it matters most in the playoffs.
So, Tone, it sounds to me like what you're explaining to me is a guy. We got a bunch of guys on this group where, we can get some songs on the chart, but we don't have that guy that can sing us a platinum song. We don't have that guy that can
give us the lead singer of the Temptations?
David Ruffin.
That's who they're missing.
They're missing David Ruffin.
Because without David Ruffin, the Temptations were still great. You could see them in concert; they were awesome. They still move and dance and sound awesome. But without David Ruffin,
they ain't at the top of the charts, though.
David Ruffin and the Temptations, they ain't hitting number one.
No, they're not at the top.
And again, it's.
This is what I'm thinking, Tone.
And this where could just as quickly become Hassan Whiteside as
he could be either. Oh my God!
It's early. Right? Remember when Whiteside came in? We were all like, "Oh, that's gonna be the next Defensive Player of the Year."
No.
Womp womp womp.
Yeah, he was awful. Yes, he was awful.
You know what? I've got this water.
I'm just thinking to myself when I look at the landscape, and we have the formula. I think that we can deviate from some of that by putting our unit together in a different way. Kind of like what was going on with the Pistons in 2004, where we don't have a clear-cut number one guy, but we do have we have something special and something unique that we do that nobody else does, and we can win this way. And I feel like maybe the Miami Heat can put their unit together that way. Because we don't have Luka, Tone. We don't have Joker. We don't have Giannis. We don't.
But the Pistons win. That type of team wins once every 50 years. It's so rare. And even when you think of the Pistons, think about it. They either had, whether it was the best, top 3, top 5 defensive player at center, at power forward, at small forward, at the 2 guard, at the 1. They literally had one of the best defensive players at every single position, and a couple of them, like Rashid, who could score. So you had this very, very once in a, I'll say, generation of talent put together, because it's easy. Not easy. It's possible to put a team together like the Atlanta Hawks that has 5 All-Stars and they win a bunch of games and then do nothing in the playoffs. Getting that type of team that doesn't have the superstar to win a chip, that's a whole, like the Pistons did it one time. Got there twice, did it one time, and we still talk about it because when was it done before? When has it been done after?
Yeah. Speaking of
defense, sorry, go ahead.
James threw a monkey wrench in what was going on in Atlanta, because they were 100%. Cleveland was the only. If they could have avoided Cleveland, I think that they're in the NBA Finals, and I think that there's going to be some trouble. I do.
If the Raptors could have avoided Cleveland, who knows? Maybe DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry win one. Maybe if they keep DeMar, and when LeBron goes to LA, maybe he's right. Maybe they still win without making that trade. I don't know. We're never going to know. But he threw a lot of monkey wrenches at a lot of people. Boom. Snowbirds, sneakers. I want to be a snowbird. You know what a snowbird is, yeah?
I do. I live in South Florida. I'm very familiar with snowbirds.
I want to be a snowbird, especially now as there's like 10 centimeters of snow, which is, I have no idea how many. Hey, Siri, what's 10 centimeters in inches?
10 centimeters is 3.94 inches.
So 4 inch. We'll round it up like we did with Iguodala's stats. 4 inches of snow falling. That once we finish, I got to go shovel. I actually enjoy it. You know that I had a snowblower because I have like a good sized driveway, and I sold it because I didn't want to use it, because I like getting out there and, like, you know, this is like my workout. So that's but anyways, back to snowbirds. His name threw me off. Who's your top 5 real two-way players ever in NBA history?
What does that mean, real? Like, as opposed to fake?
Like real two-way players, yeah. Like not guys who sometimes play defense, like real.
Yeah. There's guys who play defense. Let's see, top 5. Olajuwon.
Yeah, in order, you got Olajuwon at 1?
Yes, I think he's the best defensive player ever, and I think that him and James are the best two-way players ever. Him, James, Jordan. I think Chamberlain was a fantastic defensive player. Scottie. I think Scottie Pippen was better than Kawhi Leonard. I'm on record saying that. And I will die on that hill. I think Scottie Pippen was better than Kawhi Leonard. Those are the 3 that I'm thinking about off the top of my head, Tone. I'm thinking Duncan also. Top 5.
I got mine if you want to think about it.
Yes, because I feel like I'm too short. Go ahead.
Okay. So I got my 5. I got Jordan, Kobe, Olajuwon, Duncan, Kawhi. Those are my 5.
And I got Olajuwon, James. Yeah, I
couldn't pick a guy that only plays defense sometimes.
Olajuwon, James, Jordan,
LeBron James,
Duncan. That 5 spot, man. I mean, I already got Olajuwon on there.
You really think Pippen as a offensive and defensive player is better than Kawhi at both their best?
I don't think you guys give Scottie Pippen enough credit for what he did on the offensive end, man. Scottie Pippen was fantastic.
I do, but I don't think he had the offensive game that Kawhi does.
I think Kawhi Leonard was a better scorer than Scottie Pippen, and that's as far as I'm going. I think he was a better bucket getter. He was better in the mid range. He was better off the dribble, and I won't argue that. Scottie was better in transition. I think Scottie was better in transition. I think Kawhi Leonard was better at the 3-ball, but I think Scottie was better at getting downhill. I think Scottie was better in transition. I think Scottie was better at the rim, and I think he was better on defense than Kawhi Leonard.
Red Fox, yes, Red Fox. I completely forgot about Kareem.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say Jabbar.
Yeah.
But the reason why I didn't say Jabbar because I already got Olajuwon. But you know what? I'll say Jabbar.
You can say just because you have Olajuwon, you can have Jabbar. You're a big man merchant, so I'm surprised you didn't have Wilt, Jabbar, Olajuwon,
Duncan. I was going to say Garnett too. I was actually thinking about saying Garnett too.
Oh shoot, Garnett too is another really good.
I was actually thinking about Garnett too. So
I could probably make another 5 without using the first 5 that I gave. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
And Babaji Guts is you can type it all in caps. It doesn't make it right. So you just so you know, you can type it all in caps all you want. It doesn't make it right. So
I'm with you, G Cuts, though. I tend to agree. Let us transition. Where are we? We got 20 minutes left, so we're good. So we're going to transition very, very quickly, and then we're going to open up phone lines.
Yep.
Let me get that all queued up too. Let's transition very quickly to my favorite sport. Because we're going to have a conversation that you're not going to like.
And what I've heard, and I'll let Tone cue this up.
Patrick Mahomes, through 7 seasons as a starter, is 17-3 in the playoffs, has 5 AFC titles, 3 Super Bowls. Although I believe he's probably going to have his 4th one in 2 weeks, and the first 3-peat ever in the history of the NFL. Tom Brady, through his first 7 seasons as a starter, had a 14-3 record in the playoffs, 4 NFC titles, and 3 Super Bowls.
Sure.
Are we gonna? And let me be very clear when I say a GOAT debate, a quarterback GOAT debate, because I have already shown that Tom Brady is not the GOAT of football; he is the GOAT of quarterbacks. I know that you don't like this.
I hate it. I 100% hate it. And the reason why I hate it is because Tom Brady didn't play 7 years. That's it. He didn't play. He played longer than 7 years, which means that if Patrick Mahomes' career ended today, this isn't a conversation. Because 1, Tom Brady didn't play 7 years. Number 2, and let's make sure that we're clear about this, not only did Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship in his building, he also beat him in the bowl game. So I want to make sure that we clear during this 7-year stretch that Patrick Mahomes is having. Just so we clear. During this 7-year stretch that Patrick Mahomes is having, Brady went into his building and beat him in the AFC Championship and beat him in the bowl game. So I don't understand why we're having this conversation about these two guys right now. Because number 1, Tom Brady did not play 7 years. He played a lot longer than 7 years. And number 2, within those 7 years that Patrick Mahomes has played, he lost to Brady not once, but twice. So no, I'm good. No, I'm not trying to hear that.
The comparison is coming up because, well, that's what we do. We say first, their first 7 years. Here's the thing. There's a 10-year stretch where Tom Brady does not win a Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl.
Lost twice, as a matter of fact, in the bowl game. Lost twice.
So if Patrick Mahomes can do something in the next, after he wins this one, in the next 10 years, that is, winning some more, which who knows? I think we're going to have that. I just like any sport, I'm going to wait until it's over before I rank anyone. But I think if you're comparing the first 7 years, if I only compared the first 7 years, if that's the conversation, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes over Tom Brady, because Patrick Mahomes is doing something that in those 7 years that Tom Brady didn't do, although he did beat him in those games. Patrick Mahomes does not have a highly ranked defense. He did not, come out of, he was a first round pick. Tom Brady was not. He was a 6th round, whatever pick. And we've always said, oh man, Patrick Mahomes, like, how's he going to win? He has no defense. And then, well, he had Tariq Hill. He had, some help at the running back position. I feel like I'm not Jamal Charles, who maybe he did have Jamal Charles. No, but then he had, who's the guy now who's come back? Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt. And then, well, Tariq Hill's gone. Oh, they're not going to win again now that they've lost their bet. He has Travis Kelce. Well, Travis Kelce's not having, he's more focused on shaking it off than playing football, it seems. And yet here they are again in the Super Bowl, best record in the NFL again. He just seems to find a way. And yes, some people will say, well, it's the refs that find a way, but just for the record, I was having this conversation with Mrs. Fluent. The problem with the Chiefs is, go look at every single game. When was the last time they won a game clean, where there was no?
They beat us in the bowl game last year in overtime. It took overtime for them to beat us in the bowl game.
But they find they're fine. Whatever you think, they're finding ways to win. And so, I don't know. Like he just beat his two main competitors in the AFC. One didn't even make the playoffs, even though he led the league in touchdowns and yards, and he had a Triple Crown winning wide receiver. How the Bengals?
Who, by the way, Mahomes didn't want nothing to do with. Nothing.
100%.
He wants nothing to do with Joe Burrow. He wants nothing to do with it.
I have no idea. Josh, and then he's 4-0 against Josh Allen in the playoffs, although he can't beat him in the regular season. But he beats him. So there's no reason to think this isn't something that can continue. So I understand the conversation, because people want the new guy to be better. They do.
100% they do, Tone. But you've said this to me countless times. Tone, can you tell the people at home what happens when a quarterback eats up 25% of the salary cap?
Well, here's the problem with that. Until Patrick Mahomes did it last year or the year before, there had never been a top 5 paid quarterback that won a Super Bowl. Never.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes was the first one to ever do that last year or the year before.
Interesting.
He's the first one. So they've been able to weather that. They've been able to do the impossible. Literally, that year that they won, I don't think it was last year. No, it was the year before. It was the first of what will be 3 in a row, where I had a great TikTok. I went through it. I'm like, no top 5 paid quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes. In walks Patrick Mahomes with his bag. So
of money, it's this big.
And Bruce does have a point. Mahomes has not been caught videotaping or deflating balls, not inflating balls, Bruce. It was deflate gate, not inflate.
So can we get to the bottom of that? Can we get to
the Patriots did get caught cheating. The Texas Rangers got cheating in the Super Bowl. Why do we just let teams cheat?
The Houston Texans, not the Houston Texans, I'm sorry. The Astros got caught cheating in the World Series. That 100% happened. Not only that. Deflategate was something that was made up by the media. Yeah, that was something that was made up by the media. That didn't happen. No.
It did happen. He admitted to it.
Tom Brady, if I'm not mistaken, I heard Tom Brady talk. Now there are other things that the New England Patriots were caught doing illegally. And that part I won't argue. I mean, like taping practices and shit like that.
Spygate.
Yeah, come on, man. You can't do that. Because what you're trying to do is you're trying to steal our game plan. But
he did deflate. They did deflate. They got punished for it.
And last I checked, Andrew Luck had no problem with the football. He had no problem with it at all. He said that.
He didn't have those balls.
The whole thing,
balls.
This whole thing was
Each
made
team
up.
Grabs their own balls.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm sorry, I got thrown off the track. But anyway, as I was saying, teams don't grab their own balls.
They do.
They're in. Wait a minute, Tone. They're in the other arena. Who inflates these balls? That's the question.
They're people.
Right. Their people does that.
The Patriots, and each team has their own person who's in charge. They go and they check them. They have their bag, and those are the balls they use for the game.
Yeah.
Each team has their own set, and they inflate, deflate, and then get checked by the refs. And it was 100% factually proven that they had balls with less air in them, which is
Who,
harder.
the Patriots
to
did, or the Patriots did, or
the Patriots did.
right?
The Patriots
So the
did.
Patriots did.
Harder to throw far, but easier to catch when they're softer.
Oh,
that is
really,
a fact. That is a fact.
How come? But and to rebut this, how come the Colts didn't have any issue with this, even though the Patriots trucked them? It wasn't like it was a it wasn't like it was a dogfight. They got trucked.
They said these balls seem deflated, and that's when the investigation happened.
I don't remember any of this. I know this is the story that was made up by the media, and then it got traction where, well, the balls were kind of softer, but no, it wasn't. They stomped y'all. Give me a break.
I did not know you were a Tom Brady homer.
I'm not a Tom Brady homer. I'm just tired of the I'm tired of the nonsense with Tom Brady. Like, oh, he was cheating, and give me a break, man.
Okay, I want to get. There's people waiting, so I want to get to them. But let me ask you quickly. Pick for the Super Bowl.
Well,
the Super Bowl that no one wants to watch, by the way, between the Eagles and the Chiefs.
You get your rematch. Just like I asked for Pat Mahomes, just like I asked for another shot at Pat Mahomes. Well, Philly, you getting another shot at Pat Mahomes too. So I'm gonna take Philly in this game.
Philadelphia fans are the only group, with the exception of my son, who I have no idea why he's an Eagles fan, but he is. Eagles fans are the only fans that'll make me root for the Chiefs because of how foolish they act. Like the comments that were made to that lady in the stands. There's clips of like Commanders, people walking by, they're stealing their hats. It just throwing snowballs.
I actually want to see this. I want to see the Chiefs do it. I want to see the Chiefs win 3 in a row. I really want to do that.
I do. I feel like
I want to see them win it again.
Never been done, and I am a fan of. People always say they hate dynasties, except when there's a dynasty, more people seem to watch. So if you hate,
no, you don't. No, you don't.
Why does viewership go up?
No, you don't. No, you do not. Not only do you not hate dynasties, you're not down. You're not rooting for the underdog neither. Because when I watched the Phillies and the Tampa Bay Rays in the World Series, none of you watched. None of you did.
No.
When I watched Cleveland and San Antonio in the NBA Finals in 2007, none of you guys watched. You didn't. But you know what you did watch? You watched when the Lakers played.
That's right. They want the Cinderella story until but not in the finals.
Right. You didn't watch. So don't tell me that you love the underdog story. No, you don't. No, you do not.
No one wants to watch Boise State Notre Dame national championship. Sorry.
You don't.
You don't.
They don't.
All right. Jacob was up first. So Jacob, what up?
What up?
How's it going, guys?
What up?
I was gonna ask, I'm not biased or anything towards the officiating, but I just want to know what you guys' thoughts were on that Chiefs Bills officiating.
I don't care about that. If
the Chiefs Oh, you don't care? Then I'll let you finish it.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that because they still had an opportunity to win the game. They did. They still had an opportunity to win the game, and they didn't. That first down that wasn't called. If the wide receiver who comes back and he catches the ball, now we got an opportunity to take this game in overtime or move the sticks and keep the clock moving. We have an opportunity to do that. I don't think that this had anything to do. I don't think this had a lot to do with officiating. You catch some breaks.
Yeah.
Catch some breaks.
What was the clarification on that flag that was thrown and taken away?
Which one? Which flag?
It was at the end of the game. They threw a flag.
Yeah, they said there was flag, but there was no flag. Yes. We don't know because they didn't tell us what it was. However, to answer your question, there's always going to be a complaint when every 50-50 ball goes to the Chiefs. And so when you look at, especially in super slow motion, Josh Allen got that first down. The ball crossed the line. That catch was at worst case scenario was an interception. At best, it was an incomplete pass because when you have the Chiefs defender having 2 hands on it and the Bills guy just puts 1 hand on, that's not a tie because technically a tie goes to the offensive player. If each person has 2 hands on it or 1 hand on it, it's considered a tie. Tie goes to the offensive player. That's the rule. However, the Chiefs guy has 2 hands on it. The Bills player has 1 hand on it. You see the official who was behind them, who only saw their backs, so has no idea who caught the ball, immediately saying it's Chiefs ball. There's no way he could have known. The reality is that ball hit the ground. It was pinned to the ground, which makes it incomplete.
Yeah.
They compound that 50-50 call by the next play. They didn't blow the whistle dead, and the Chiefs get stopped on that run play. I think it was either a screen pass to Worthy or a run by Hunt. I forget what the play was, but they challenged. Well, no, if you get the snap off before the whistle, your challenge flag is not counted.
Right.
So I'd be curious to know if they had scored a touchdown, if they would have pulled the touchdown back to review. And then they get their call wrong after they review the play because it should have been incomplete.
What is instant replay for, Tone? That's the most ridiculous shit, I swear. That makes me nuts.
Apparently to get it wrong. So when you apparently when you constantly have these 50-50 calls, because look, I'm not saying they're just insane. They're 50-50 calls and everyone seems to go their way. You're gonna get questions. So
I understand.
If I'm a Bills fan, I probably have I understand the frustration, especially losing to them 4 times in a row, like being Josh Allen being 0-4 against them in the playoffs. And then you see those types of things. It's easy to go to those plays and say, hey, like that's why. But yeah, there you go.
Fair enough. Hi, Bev. I mean, hi, Jay. Good to talk to you, brother.
All right.
Yep.
Baba.
What up? What up?
Going. So okay, so see, I'm gonna just call it out right now, right? First off, I like, again, I like what you guys are doing. You guys are always having good energy. You guys are very consistent. I love it. So, you guys, people keep saying refs this, refs that. The fact of the matter is, Josh Allen, right? Their fan base gets happy when they beat Lamar, call them out saying, "Oh, Josh Allen's the MVP." Okay, well, when it's your time to be the MVP and step up to the plate, you didn't step up. You're saying, "Oh, that was a first down." Well, you had 4 minutes after that to prove why you're the MVP. And again, you choke. You come up smaller than mini-me. So what's really going on with Josh Allen right now? You're 0-4 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. And we're just going to
absolutely had their chances. Absolutely. 100%.
And by the way, this isn't just a one-sided thing, because I came into your building and did the same thing last year. This is not like I just did this in my building. No, I came into your building and dropped you too. So it doesn't make sense about, I remember when they got the ball back, and on top of this, Tone, what makes me nuts, you're a football guy. Tone, what happened to taking the points and playing defense? What happened to that? How come everybody got to go? You got to go for it on every 4th down now. You don't have to do that.
That's what ruined it. Yep.
We get into the red zone and you're on the 17. No, I got to go for it on 4th down. No, you don't. Take the points and play defense. You know what you're telling me when you do that? You're telling me that you don't trust your defense.
What about the fact that you know that you can run against this team and you don't decide to do it until the second half?
Yeah.
They had more rushing yards in their first drive of the second half than they had in the whole first half. Right? Like it's yes, and like I said from a Bills perspective, I could see where you're complaining about the refs, but at the same time, you're right. Especially when it's a 3-point game, of course they had opportunities to win the game. And yes, the 50-50 balls did go to the Chiefs, but there was a lot of bad decisions on Josh Allen's part where you're right. They should have had they had opportunities to win the game.
Exactly. You have James Cook and you're trying to do tuck-ins with Josh Allen. You have James Cook. Who's stopping James Cook? Look at that 4th down play that you.
No idea why they had Ty Johnson in there because Cook was cooking.
Yes.
And since we're on the subject of Cook, just so you know, Saquon Barkley plays for Philly, and the Chiefs got the worst run defense in the playoffs. I think they're going to shove the ball. I think they're going to shove the ball down their throat. I do.
If they're smart, Saquon should be rushing for 200 yards.
Easily.
No, any smart team would play the run first with Philly and force Jalen Hurts to be like Nick Foles in that Super Bowl first time. Force him to pass to beat him. But I also wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on that Jimmy Butler trade for the last thing.
Trade?
Or no, not excuse me. Not De'Aaron Fox.
Him being suspended?
Yeah, De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't hate it. I don't hate De'Aaron Fox in Miami, depending on what they would have to give up to get De'Aaron Fox, because I don't think they're going to be able to keep Hero and Bam. I don't think they're going to be able to keep all of those guys if they're going to get Fox. But I do like him. I do like him on that crew with Bam. I do like him on that crew if they could keep Hero and Bam. I don't think they're going to be able to keep both of them, but I do like him on that crew. With
well, if it's centered around Butler and Fox, and a third team gets involved, which you love so much, that might be it. I know that the Raptors have stuck their nose in and have said they'll be a part of that.
What do you want, Tone? Why are you here? Why are you sticking your nose in this? Why are you involved in this?
I feel like they're trying to move Bruce Brown and get draft picks. So I feel like who would benefit more from Bruce Brown? And then I think that's where it's like, hey, if we can get, if is it? Oh, what is that? I didn't know.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought you were doing that.
But I have no idea how I did it. If you get Bruce Brown and is it Bruce Brown and Butler and De'Aaron Fox comes the other way, and then they're happy, and then each team sends a couple of picks to the Raptors or a young guy, and they get to keep their cores. Yeah, then maybe that works.
Yeah, I even heard Jimmy Butler, or not Jimmy Butler, but Julius Randle has connections to the Miami getting traded there. So it's going to be crazy this February. So I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time. But
all right, brother.
I think Randall's the one that gets traded. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Are you able to stay a couple minutes late, because we do have a couple more people, but I'll make sure that we tell them, listen, because there's a few people waiting, but I want you guys, please be quick. BP. We got batting practice and no camera, which
what up?
Sorry about that. How's it going?
What up, brother?
Hey, so I got quick ones for you anyways. The first one is when you guys talk about an NBA team and you'll say like, oh, they have this many guys, how many do you guys think a fully healthy OKC team has? Because I've heard like 10, 12 range, people say, and I'm not sure when they're fully healthy what that looks like.
So in their rotation, so you got Caruso, you got Jalen Williams, you got the other Williams.
Yeah.
I personally don't think that Hartenstein, if Chet's playing, I think Hartenstein. I've always felt like Hartenstein was a rotation guy, but Hartenstein is a starter. So you got those three guys. You got Caruso, you got Wiggins. I think they got 9. I think they got 9 guys, legit. 9. I think they got 9 guys, legit.
Gotcha.
He said all healthy though. So you got
fully
Chet,
healthy.
Those guys, you still think 9? I was thinking 10 off the top of my head.
Yeah, I thought I had heard Chill say a higher number during.
Well, because they're going to end up. They would probably start Hartenstein with Chet, so that would leave Williams. Let's see, that would leave Williams. Both Williams is off the bench. Caruso. Who am I leaving out? I'm clearly leaving. Wiggins. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out.
I mean, it depends on who you want to count. There's did you count AJ Mitchell already?
Mitchell, that's the other guy I'm thinking about. Mitchell.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's 10 guys. Yep.
There is also Topic, but you probably don't want to count him. He hasn't played a single minute yet.
I'm already on record saying it, Tone. I'm the Brooklyn Nets. I'm calling up Oklahoma City. Hand over the kid.
Yeah, Chill and I have talked about that before.
Yes. Hand over the kid. Yep. Hand him over.
Awesome. I had another one, but I'll keep it quick for you guys. That's all I had.
All right, brother. Good to talk to you.
Okay.
Man.
Yes.
I saw BP. I was thinking we're going for some batting practice. We got Heath. Oh, hold on. Oh, Neef. There we go. He's ready. He's got the background. I don't know what poster that is, but the colors kind of match my Kobe, so we good.
Oh, it's an astronaut dunking the sun, actually.
An astronaut dunking the sun. That's fire. All right.
Yeah. What's up, OG? Haven't seen you in a minute.
How long is that flight to the sun, by the way?
Man.
Do I get some frequent flyer miles with that?
Nah, it's quick. It's easy.
A couple.
We can't even make it to the moon. We can't even make it to the moon. We ain't making it to the sun. Don't worry.
Yeah. Fluent. Exactly. But okay. So I'm a Bucks guy. And obviously we're in the trade mix here, trying to move Middleton, maybe trying to move Portis. Definitely trying to get off Pat Connaughton, get him the out of my team, get him out of here. So
get him out now.
Who do you think would be the best fit for the Bucks to make them better contenders? That they're like underdog contenders right now. Who do you think would get them in the forefront in the like Knicks Boston territory? Beal, Levine, or Butler?
I don't think the buckets is the issue. I keep hearing Bradley Beal. If you get Bradley Beal, if you get Jimmy Butler, that makes you automatic. I don't think that that's the problem. I still think that this kid Jackson, he kind of gives me Andre Roberson vibes because he can't really shoot like I would like for him to be able to.
He can play much better than Roberson.
Yes, he does. But the problem is that I'm worried about him being able to consistently just knock down not even a three, just knock down an open shot and keep defenses honest. That's the thing that I'm worried about. I'm not, to be honest with you, I understand why you want to move off Pat Connaughton. It's because of the money. I get that part. But I'm not really, I think Pat can help you guys in the playoffs. I do. I think that in the playoff series, I think that he can help you guys. I think he can knock down a few shots because I don't think that there's a huge market for him. I don't. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to give him up and end up getting back a bottle of Gatorade just to get him off the roster when he can help me on some level. I don't want to do that. No.
Yeah. And he has a connection with Dame.
But if I could package Connaughton and Middleton and a couple picks and get a Levine, I know it doesn't help where I think they need the most help defensively, but then I think their offense becomes so strong that they can run with, because don't forget, you're not going to stop who they got to beat. They got to beat the Celtics. Let's just be honest. Right. That's who you guys got to get by in the East. Well, you're not going to stop them with the amount of threes that they're shooting in that offense. The only thing you can do is stop them when you need to, which they have enough defense with Giannis and others. But keep pace with them to keep it at that point in the fourth quarter where you need to get a couple.
That was my question to you, Tone. That was my question to you. Are you going to be able to match them? Are you going to be able to match them as a shooting team? Are you going to be able to do that?
I think if you have Dame, Levine, and Giannis, right, you will offensively be in a position to coming down to the fourth quarter and who's going to make a stop. And then it's 50-50 with you and the Celtics. They're deeper still, but if you can't even keep up with them until that point. So I think that's the one. The one that was interesting that popped into my head when you said it was, or do we go tough? Do we go, I know he hasn't done great in the playoffs, or do we go with the Julius Randle?
No, please, no.
And just
Fluent, please keep him off my team. No,
and any of y'all know that y'all know I love Julius Randle, but he does not work. This would be Keystone Cops. We'll be running into each other.
Exactly, Chill. He is a dollar store version of Giannis. He is not even a Walmart version. He's a dollar store version.
We'll be bumping into each other. And,
because I think you can get him on the cheap.
Tony, number one, you're not getting him on the cheap because number one, his contract is up after the season and he's going to opt in to the money for next year.
No, I mean, you won't have to give up a lot because I think Minnesota's just like, we're out.
I think they are too. So
if we could if we could do a 1-for-1 Pat Connaughton Randall, cool.
No, the money won't work there, but
of course it wouldn't. But like something like that.
That's why it's like the cheaper option would be, hey, let's go tougher. But I think Levine makes the most sense to me because you're gonna need to score with the Celtics, which sounds crazy or counterintuitive, but I think that's the route. Because I want to see Giannis get another chip.
I do too.
Like soon.
Same.
All right, Neef. Good to talk to you, brother. Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah,
yes,
appreciate
sir.
it, guys.
All right, we're gonna end it off with Primo. It looks like Primo to me.
What up? Yo.
Going once, going twice.
We had him and then we didn't.
We had him and we didn't. In that case, that brings us to you know what time?
I know what time it is. It's about that time, guys. It was great to see you guys tonight. You guys know where to find us. Every Tuesday night, me and my man Tony Tone, we're right here on the Sports Fluent Network on the Chill Town Hoops. We do this every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. It is the middle of basketball season. We will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. Pick up the telephone and call your mother. We will see you guys soon. But until then, take it light, but take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight.
Hey, you know what? I've got this water, and we've got.
Oh, Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.